Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Borak Bursa Turbo, where we try and take a fast take on what's going on in Malaysia and talk about everything about Malaysian finances. Alright, so as usual, my name is Chuck and this is Alvin Wong, the CEO of EquitiesTracker,
Hello,
who hosts
guys.
the podcast. Hi! So, let's get straight into it since it's turbo, right?
Let's go.
Great.
The clicker's not working.
There you go. Okay, so let's talk about the first bit of news. I think some of you have seen that Ebola is having a pretty major outbreak in the Congo region, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And article came out in Malay Mail a few days ago saying that is Malaysia at risk. First of all, let's talk about exposure. Do you think has there ever been an Ebola? I think there's been one Ebola case in Malaysia or something like that. Right?
I think is Malaysia at risk? I think all countries are at risk, right? As
Fair.
long as there are planes flying about and people are moving about, then there is risk. But we've not seen Ebola as bad as COVID.
Yep.
So I mean, in the history of things,
Because it's not airborne.
Yeah, so I think yes, we are obviously at risk. So is every other country in the world.
Yep.
But will it be a full-blown COVID? Probably not.
But will there be kind of muscle memory kind of thing? Oh no, another outbreak, and businesses have a kind of a
I think we also have
knee-jerk.
Hanta virus as well, right?
Yeah, Hanta, exactly.
Hanta
yeah.
as well. So actually, if you look back, we at the end of the day, why are we looking at viruses? It's because at the end of the day, they disrupt our way of life and businesses, right? And I guess it's really the degree. But I think nothing, because Ebola has been around for a long time and we do have a history of that. We've not seen anything that major. And because it also kills its host pretty quickly, so spread is somewhat a little bit more contained than something that doesn't kill the host but keeps spreading, right?
Yeah.
So I think the risk is definitely there. But not super major.
Are markets right now reacting in any way to Ebola and hantavirus at all?
No.
Zero, zilch.
Nope.
So
No
I
feel.
read an article basically saying that pharmaceutical stocks are up. Is that something that is focused enough that might react to this kind of thing?
I think in terms of pharma being up, it probably has more to do with the current war in Iran.
Oh,
Yes.
how so?
Because if you look at crude oil, yes, we only see what we see most of the time is actually what we pump into our cars, right?
Yep.
But it's actually a major source for a lot of things, right? Fertilizer, plastics, and so on and so forth. So chemicals that are refined from oil and gas are in your medicine, right? So I think the impact is less Ebola and Hanta, more shortage. Supply. Its demand is there, but there's a supply shortage, right?
So if there's a supply shortage, then pharmaceutical companies benefit?
Higher prices will benefit them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is the big one that we wanted to talk about today. As you guys might know, there's been some shake-up in the government with Rafizi and Nick Nazmi starting up a new party called Bersama. And that's caused some concern with even Anwar saying that snap election might even happen this year. From what we know, it's unlikely to be this year, but it's actually due in the next 1 or 2 years lah. By law, I think it has to happen
2028,
before 2028.
right?
Yeah, before 2028. So definitely it will have to be sometime next year, if not this year. What I wanted to kind of get into is the kind of economic cycles that are linked to elections.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happens? Okay, so what we know as, the average person would know, okay, before election, sure got some goodies for the rakyat one, right? Like subsidies and that kind of thing. Like, what have you seen in the past election cycles?
Election cycles are normal, right? Typically, my observation is that whenever there is a chance that there will be a change in policies, typically either it's a wait and see, that means nothing much happens, or people hold more cash. Right. I don't think we've seen a point where elections are coming up and people are hyper bullish.
So meaning to say, as far as stock market is concerned, it'll either be flat or slightly downwards.
Should be flat. Well, I think more specific cases depends, right?
Yeah.
Depends on the type of stocks that will be affected by policy.
Like which ones?
Well, you would look at a lot of GLCs,
Construction companies.
construction companies, building materials and so on and so forth.
People who have dealings with the government, basically.
Yeah, direct lah.
Contractors.
Yeah, contractors. Yeah, that will be more direct, right?
Yeah.
Or major, like our HSR was in progress, and then there was a change in government, and then that all changed everything, right?
Yeah.
So some of those will likely happen, but more specific cases. But I think for companies that are not involved or not affected by policies, they will just be where they are today.
Does this kind of happen regardless of who the favored party to win is?
I don't know about favor or party to win. I think investors are more concerned about whether policies that have been set by the previous administration will follow through.
Right.
So,
because, like, for example, I mean, right now, a lot of the pundits are actually predicting that PAS might win big in the next election. So there is at least a fear that a lot of the policies will not continue. Is that fair to say?
well, I think different administrations will have different policies.
Yep.
Right. And I think for investors, effectively, we are looking for stability or expectation of policies.
Yep.
So what is very disruptive would be changes in rules and regulations and policies, right?
And like governing philosophies and stuff.
Yeah. So I think like major, we've seen, different administrations in the last 5 years. I think things like the national automotive policy, I think, kind of still remains status quo, right? So I think the major ones, like say even our oil, oil and gas, Petronas, that's
doesn't
fairly remain where
Interest
it was.
rates?
Interest rates would be more dependent on the economy.
Right.
Yeah. So I think those major ones, but smaller ones might change for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interestingly, like basically, what we would tell people is just stay calm lah for now.
Yeah, I think stay calm. I think regardless of who administers the country, I think in the short term, that there isn't a magic wand to make things a lot better or make things very, very much worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, now moving on. The MITI CBU EV ruling. So this has caused a lot of conversation, especially on my feed. I don't know whether on your feed as well.
Yes.
So in summary, basically, MITI is setting very, very specific conditions for EV sales in Malaysia. I believe for imported EVs it's 200,000 and above, and for CKD ones it's 100,000 and above, right? For anybody that is not Proton or Perdua. Perdua also is exempt.
Perdua is the homegrown QVE that didn't do too well, but I understand they're going to relaunch it again this year.
Yeah, the one with the battery sold separately one, right?
Yes. Yes, battery sold separately.
So, what are your thoughts on this thing? Is it good for our automotive industry or not? What do you think?
I think it's more expectations, not unexpected, to be very honest, because if you look at a bulk of these EVs are manufactured in China.
Yeah.
I'd say a very big bulk of them, and we are probably not the only country that are putting up barriers for importation, right? Now, if you even look back much further, Malaysia's automotive policy has always been very policy driven. Very, very policy driven, because with the advent of Proton and Pro-Dual, we've always been protectionist in nature. That is the Malaysian landscape, right? So much so, if you look back with different agreements that we've signed, we've kind of never really changed our stance that we want it to be Malaysian made. We want it to have to be accessible to Malaysians. We want to reinvest a lot of that that purchase or the revenue from car companies back into Malaysia. Therefore, you have CKD, you have local manufacturers, you have local vendors. We want to keep a lot of that back into the economy. So that's been quite common, right? So not very surprised.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, I mean, with the uncertain future of oil prices, especially given now, like the timing of this ruling seems a bit on the nose, lah. Like almost like, you know, if oil prices are going up and EV prices are going up, at least imported EVs or even locally assembled EVs by foreign companies, essentially we're left to, you know, I actually built this meme the other day because I thought this was, yeah, so you got two options, EMAS 5 or EMAS 7.
Oh, that's it. I mean, but you know, it's still very in line with our national automotive policy, right? You know, back then, you know, it was your Wira and your Saga, and really, right? So because EVs are fairly new-ish compared to ICE cars, it will take time, and you know, the government is, I mean, different administrations, they've followed through that same policy, right? So not so much a surprise.
That's an interesting question. Do you have any recollection of, I mean, we're both, even we are a bit too young for this question, but what was it like before Proton?
I think it was the Datsun 120Y or 120Y.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
That was that era, right? Yeah.
So there were no taxes or very minimal taxes on
I think it
cars?
was quite minimal taxes because we were, you know, back in the 50s. I think it was Morris Minors as well. My grandfather used to drive Morris Minor. They were not that expensive, or relatively, because, you know, motorcycles were more norm than.
I actually have a vague recollection that my mom kept talking about this incident where she bought a Toyota Corolla, and this is before Proton existed. And what happened was that I think 5 years later, she sold the Toyota Corolla for a profit.
Well, yeah.
Because, you know, at that point in time, they started raising the
taxes, right?
The taxes, yeah. And then all cars started getting more expensive.
Correct.
Yeah, what a weird time. So,
well, if you really think about it logically, if you think about it, look, we sell 800,000 cars a year.
Protons or?
Well, I think a bulk of it is Proton Pro Duo.
Yeah.
So if you put an average price on that per year, you know, we're talking about, you know, billions of dollars that are spent by consumers. So if we import these cars here, essentially we are exporting capital out.
Yeah.
Right. And as an emerging economy, we're trying to get money back and circulate back in the economy, right?
But isn't that why they have the CKD rulings where, you know, the cars face less taxes when they're
But they're still taxed. They're just more favorable taxes, right? Because here, if you do CKD, which means that you need to buy land, set up factory, create jobs, and so on and so forth, right? So you support the local economy, right?
And it's also knowledge transfer of how to do these processes.
Knowledge transfer and so on and so forth, right? So I think that's where, but CKD came much later on. I mean, compared to 1981, I believe, where Proton was founded, right? That policy came secondary, right? So they were really trying to encourage and build up the automotive supply chain. Essentially,
And I think research team was working on a calculation the other day of how much Malaysia spends on petrol subsidies versus how much they make back on car taxes. I mean, it doesn't quite match up, but it's a significant discount, right?
It is. I mean, it's still a net loss to the government, you know. So you go to countries where cars are not taxed or very low taxes. You know, petrol price is easily, you know, 4 or 5 times what we're paying today, right? With Budi 95 or before Budi 95. So if you look at life of car, if you say a life of car, you may not own it for 20 years, but through several owners, it's still life of the vehicle. If you put it at 15 years and you work out roughly, a full tank every week, right? And you factor in that subsidy that we pay, you're going to work out actually the excise duties that you pay is actually lower than what you would have spent paying market prices for fuel. For fuel.
Oh, so Malaysians overall, even though we're paying a higher price for cars, overall in the long term, we're still saving money because our petrol is so
It's
cheap.
not. So if you buy a car for 200,000, let's
Yeah.
say cost 100,000, excise duty was 100,000.
Yeah.
The 100,000 difference in tax.
Yeah.
Of course, assuming you own the car for that period of time, you continue driving it, or you own any other car
Yeah.
for the life of that vehicle, is actually how do I say, the savings is like paying your savings up front in a way.
Yeah.
So you net actually government for life of car, from my calculation, actually still works out to be less than your actual total purchase cost. That
Sorry,
means
run
that
by
means
me
if
again.
you pay 100,000 for a car, or
Yeah.
200,000 for a car, and because you get subsidized fuel for the next 15 years,
Right.
right? That subsidy would have come up to be more than you paid tax on that car.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So in summary, the amount of tax you pay on your car is less than the amount of petrol you will pump into it for 20 years' time. And overall, the government is making a loss on that. But having said that, it does offset the subsidies somewhat lah. So like when the government says, oh, we're giving you this much subsidy for petrol, in real life, it's probably about half that based
Yeah.
on what they make back from car taxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
think that's
of
good,
course,
right?
assume that life of car is that amount.
Yep.
There are many assumptions.
Yep.
But if you were the government, that's the numbers you have to work with, right?
Yep. Which is why also that it kind of makes sense that they're being a bit protective about the automotive industry now because they're also spending more on subsidies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always been kind of the case.
Yeah.
They've always been protectionist, right?
Yep.
So I think if you go back maybe 15 years ago, Malaysia signed the AFTA agreement, Asian Free Trade Agreement, the AFTA agreement. That was meant to bring, that means free trade amongst all ASEAN countries.
Yeah.
Was
Was this with TPPA one kind of
No,
thing, is it?
way before TPPA. It was
okay.
AFTA, AFTA. You
Okay,
can go
okay.
Google it. And, everyone was expecting excise duties
removed.
on cars to be removed.
Yeah.
It never was, simply because our national automotive policy is so deeply rooted.
Ingrained,
Yeah.
that every other policy kind of almost relies on it to some extent already, that if you remove it, you destabilize a whole
Yeah,
bunch
it'll
of
be
stuff.
it'll be because imagine if you paid 200,000 for a car today
Yeah.
with excise duties, and say you took a loan on it. And then tomorrow government says, yeah, the same car is going to be selling for half the price. What's going to happen to the banks?
Yeah.
Right, on their balance sheet, they would have to write that amount off as well. So it's very deeply rooted.
Okay, let's move on. Staying on cars. So there's a new toll in Genting now. I think a lot of people who like driving cars, myself included, I think Alvin included as well. I think the curious question here is, of course, first of all, will this prevent people from going into Genting? And thus, will it affect Genting's stock prices or not? Has it so far?
I don't think so. Because it's ringgit.
Yeah.
And if you're going to Genting anyway, we know even if you have a bowl of noodles there, it's always a bit pricier.
15 to 20 minimum.
Right,
Yeah, for
it's
Maggi
always a bit
probably.
yeah. So you're already expecting. So it's another $5, $10 up and down. So I don't think so that it will really affect the traffic flow. I mean, they've been recording a fantastic visitors.
Yeah. Because the New Sky Avenue is quite popular, and then
Yeah.
the GPO and all that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think this, but it'll be. I think net. I guess it'll be still positive for, in a very small way lah.
What do you mean net positive? Sorry.
Net positive would be so now because Genting used to maintain this private road, right?
Yeah.
With their own funds.
Yeah.
So now kind of everyone shares the burden a little bit. Take that and to maintain those roads,
Right.
Yeah.
They could give us some of the money they make from gambling back as well, then. Share that burden a bit as well, Okay, moving on. So this one is a study just released by Talent Corp. So 700,000 Malaysian workers at high risk from AI and automation. it also says that our unemployment is peaking right now, and it's peaked for a few months. I think January was the highest, and then it dropped a bit in March, and then now it's peaking again at 10,000 retrenchments in April, if I recall correctly, something like that. How do you think AI is? I know this is such a long conversation. We've had this numerous times on this show and on other podcasts as well, about how AI is affecting employment. Do you think that we're seeing it already now?
Oh, I think AI will definitely impact for sure, right? But if this was published in January, February, we have to understand that if you look at the overall economy in Malaysia, we're an export-driven economy.
Yeah.
Right. And what has happened significantly in the last 2 years was that the ringgit has strengthened. If your income used to be in USD, now you're getting 15% less of that. So when you have 15% less to bring in back here with a stronger ringgit, businesses are definitely feeling the strain. Lower margins, lower bonuses. They're gonna find ways to reduce costs. So I don't think it's so much an AI specific problem, right? Businesses don't decide, because AI, let's cut 50% of my staff. All right. So the macro side, ringgit has strengthened quite significantly against the USD, right? On top of that, costs have also gone up.
Yeah. Because of the Straits of Hormuz and blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, because of several other factors, right? Yeah. So when you factor all that in, business owners are having it. Some business owners are having it tough or a little bit tougher.
Coinciding with the magical efficiencies of AI that is presented to you, lah.
Well, correct. And then now business owners have an option. Oh, maybe we can do AI, but I don't think. I think they need to do a much deeper study to find because not everything can be replaced by AI today, right?
Yeah.
AI can't take out my rubbish.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it can't, right?
Yeah.
So,
but is that the jobs that are available now, or
maybe? So I think those are the macro factors that's happening more than putting all the blame on AI, because AI is definitely here to stay, and definitely will develop further.
Actually, you raised an interesting point. So, like, when our currency goes up, export-driven companies in Malaysia, of which there are numerous, receive less money.
Yeah.
Is it always that cut and dry, or is there some room for negotiation based on lower currency exchange rates?
Well, in the short term, if you're a business that signed a contract,
yeah,
you've signed that, and you intend to honor it, these risks that you need to cover yourself. Customer doesn't take that risk, right? So unless you renegotiate those contracts, then yes, it's possible. But
are they usually taken into account during the renegotiation process?
They can, but sometimes customers are tough as well, because Malaysia's not the lowest cost for producing things.
So
anymore.
We still have to stay competitive, lah.
We still have to stay competitive, right?
But I mean, like you mentioned in an earlier podcast, and I remember this, that a lot of what we're seeing in Malaysia improve against the US dollar is also the US dollar declining.
Yeah.
Which also means that same kind of lower margin that we're getting is also affecting other countries to a lesser extent.
Yeah, for sure.
So that also means that when people start renegotiating their contracts, everyone would kind of renegotiate versus the USD a little bit stronger. And
then the buyer will have to determine, is Malaysia still competitive enough? Am I getting the best quality or best value for my buck, right?
Yeah.
So definitely more competitive, and costs have also gone up as well.
Yeah.
Right. One reason because of the war.
Yeah.
One of the reasons but generally inflation is up. Right.
Inflation's always up.
Yeah.
Never goes down.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, maybe the degree of inflation has gone up a bit more in the last 2 years, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So I think everyone feels that as well, for sure, right? So when you have less velocity of money going around, then companies will feel the strain, for sure. And to survive,
raise prices.
If they can't raise prices,
workers.
they have to either cut something. Yeah.
Okay, so let's stay on AI for a second. And since, obviously ET has our digital assets fund, private mandate. We're seeing increasing conversations about quantum computers. being able to crack Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrencies are, the whole basis of them is that they're absolutely secure, they're distributed, but that encryption applied to digital computers. Now, when we talk about quantum computers, where they can, take an atom and expand it into like 15 different states or whatever it is,
Yep.
that kind of encryption becomes child's play for them.
Yeah, so I think.
What do you know about this?
This was we had Jonas Schnelli on our on one of our streams maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was one of 7 core developers for Bitcoin, and I posted him the same question as well. He said, "Well, Bitcoin core. Let's talk about Bitcoin, for example, which runs on SHA-256 encryption, right? When quantum computing gets to that level, or with AI as well, there's always option for the community to update those encryption methods. Those encryption methods doesn't have to stay permanent forever. But the reason why the encryption method is there is so that it is safe for everybody, right? So I think there has been a big push for quantum. Quantum computing is not new. It's been talked about for last decade or so, and there are many projects that are working on that are in quantum computing today. In fact, if you're listed on Nasdaq, I think you can find 3 companies that are listed. Yeah, in quantum computing. So I think the community still has time to agree on to move on to different sorts of encryption that may not work with quantum computing.
Right.
Yeah.
So for now, with these conversations happening, how is the crypto market reacting to it?
I think the market has known this for a long time.
Nothing new lah, basically.
I don't think it's new. It's not new for the crypto guys.
Yeah.
But of course, crypto has also attracted a lot of smart engineers, software engineers, and it's always been a community thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, these guys are already working on it.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so actually, I wanted to go back to petrol. Unfortunately, I wanted to ask because as Malaysians, we're used to, especially RON 95 being incredibly stable in price. But the Budi 95 subsidy has been cut down to what, 250 liters now, is it?
200.
200 liters.
200.
With plans to go down to 150 and 100.
Probably eventually 0.
Yeah. The curious thing is like these prices go up and down now, right? So for people who don't get the Budi 95 diesel guys, for instance, people who pump RON 97, the price goes up and down all the time, especially for diesel, right? And how do companies deal with this now when we see this happening, on a almost like weekly basis? And I know that other countries, they deal with this all the time. It's only us that it's new to us.
Yeah.
Right. So how are we reacting differently from what other countries have been doing?
I think a lot of companies are caught out with this for sure.
Yeah.
Those who sign long-term contracts, especially construction type contracts, where it's very price sensitive. It's tough. It's really tough for them right now at this point in time. In terms of dealing with it, it's important, and that's why we always stress that it's important to have reserves in your company, because there are certain things that are completely out of your control.
So are you saying that due to our previous price stability for fuel, companies in Malaysia, particularly construction companies, say, would have signed longer contracts
or
based on compared to other countries?
Yeah. Well, not to say compared to other countries, but we, just like
we're comfortable lah.
Yeah, we're comfortable. We didn't kind of expect it, and during COVID, there were a lot of contracts where we didn't have pandemics as a force majeure.
Yeah.
Right, because kind of never cropped up, and
disasters don't happen to Malaysia kind of thing.
Don't happen to Malaysia kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is a similar situation.
Yeah.
A lot of companies been caught out because we've been just too comfortable saying, oh yeah, prices are fairly
So when
stable.
you say caught out, I mean like probably operating at a loss now because they signed a longer term contract.
Probably operating at a loss right now.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a rock and a hard place because if you
sign a
don't
contract,
complete the project, you get sued, I mean, rock and a hard place, right? So, that's kind of what it is, and that's why I always stress the importance of treasury management on a balance sheet for companies, because no matter how great of an entrepreneur you are, there are certain things that are always out of your control.
You can't predict them, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's the whole meaning of force majeure, right?
yeah, well, and that's why you need to make sure that you have sufficient balances on your balance sheet
Buffers, yeah.
to sustain this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us for Borak Bursa Turbo again, and we will see you guys next month. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.